Hello dear crypto friends, and welcome to today's video in which we are further analyzing the crypto market, especially with a focus on altcoins. And here I have already loaded the altcoin market cap, the weekly altcoin chart, which is given by Total 3 on TradingView. And you can see I have loaded two indicators, first the RSI and then the stochastic RSI, which are two excellent indicators to find out when an asset is overbought or oversold. Both indicators go from 0 to 100. A value of 100 means extremely overbought. A value of 0 means extremely oversold. And we can see that the altcoins are doing this fascinating structure here, which we identified as a running flat correction, right? Asset rises, gets rejected again, makes this funny bounce, goes back to this level from before, and then takes off. Or of course, we could also see an expanded flat. We don't know yet. Will this make a new low? Will this go lower than here? If yes, then this of course could also be an expanded flat. We go shortly below, we recover, and then miraculously we go into a new rally. This would be an expanded flat. Now let us look at the indicators. We see that we are extremely oversold. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. The weekly RSI in the altcoin market cap is the lowest it has ever been, even lower than during the bear market of 2018. Just think about it, when Bitcoin was at 3,100. The altcoins are more oversold than when Bitcoin was at $3,100. This is insane. So the RSI is making new historical lows, all the while we're getting insane bullish divergences because we have lower lows in the RSI, we have a flat staying price, and all the while the stochastic RSI is also getting to oversold levels, like it is super oversold, like here, like here, like here, like here. And every time we were at such instances, we saw insane bounces all over the place. When we get too oversold, then normally we see pumps. Now, in order to have more history, we go to Total 2, which also includes Ethereum, and the chart goes back to 2014, which is nice because then we have more data points. And we see that we are now also at the lowest it has ever been. The weekly RSI is ridiculously low, insanely oversold. We are as low as in 2018, even including Ethereum. We are oversold on the weekly. If we go into the monthly time frame, the monthly is also a very good thing to look at for identifying long-term trends. So if we want to identify super long-term behavior, we go into the monthly, and what do we see? We see that the RSI is getting insanely, ridiculously oversold. We are almost at historically low levels, which we saw in late 2018, early 2019 at 44, and we are now sitting at 47. We are also extremely oversold on the stochastic RSI. The monthly stochastic RSI is really dropping to 0. So this means we see levels that we last saw in late 2018, early 2019, and we all know what happened afterwards. Both indicators started surging again, which coincided, of course, with a surge in the total market cap. Now the monthly chart on the dollar index looks still very bearish. The dollar bounced a bit, but now it continues to decline, and this monthly candle already looks very ugly. Very ugly. Look at it, how it closed already now in the dollar index. And we know the dollar index is anti-correlated to Bitcoin on longer time frames, and we also know that all altcoins, the entire crypto market, is following Bitcoin. And the stochastic RSI was insanely overbought, and the last time it was actually so overbought was here, and every time when the stochastic RSI was nearing the 100 level, like insanely overbought, what happened? Insane dumps. Here also, every time we got insane dumps. Every time. Here it managed to wobble around, even make a new fake all-time high, and then it still broke down. And here also. So I think, yes, it could wobble around a bit, but I think it will go lower, and that will be the reason why we get the next crypto pump. The most important thing now is that the Nasdaq continues to pump, and we see the Nasdaq in the monthly chart is looking insanely nice. I mean, friends, look at this. This is amazing. This is really good looking stuff. This is actually not too different from the picture that we saw in the last major bounces. So for example, in 2015, in 2018, in 2019, we see the monthly candle touched the lower Bollinger Band, which happened here in 2016, almost in 2018, almost in 2020. And now the next monthly candle is looking super bullish. So I assume we go up now, and then my picture still remains bullish, that we make one last push to new all-time highs before then we go into the actual bear market that comes later than everybody thinks, and will come as a big surprise to many people who think that the market is recovering. But in fact, the systemic problems are not going away just because the Fed is now making a 180-degree turn on interest rate hikes. So the Nasdaq is looking really good, and we see that the stochastic RSI in the monthly chart of the Nasdaq is getting to zero, insanely oversold levels. And the last times we have seen such insanely oversold levels was in March 2019, was in the whole 2015-2016 area, and was in 2008. Yes, that's right. Only a few times in the last decades has the Nasdaq seen insanely oversold levels in the stochastic RSI on the monthly time frame, friends. Just think about this. And most of the times we see that we got insane bounces afterwards, insane rallies ensued. So I think we will see a recovery in the stochastic RSI, and then the actual downtrend will start, which in my opinion is also confirmed by this hidden bullish divergence in the RSI. And hidden bullish divergences, we said in the RSI, especially if they occur on long time frames, are always a very good indicator for continued bullish momentum. And since Bitcoin is so strongly correlated to the Nasdaq, like positively correlated, it almost follows every move of the Nasdaq, I think Bitcoin will continue pumping, because the Nasdaq, as we see here, probably will do one last big push to the upside. Now, the last times we had such a hidden bullish divergence was here, for example, very similar picture, and we all know what happened afterwards, big pumps. Or for example, here we had also a very similar picture, and what happened here after this hidden bullish divergence, of course, also very big pumps. So the Nasdaq was printing all these times here again and again hidden bullish divergences in the monthly chart, and that is why we just, after every time it looked really bad in 2015, in 2018, in 2020, every time it looked really bad, but what happened afterwards, we always recovered and got insane rallies. Why? Because the fundamentals of the Nasdaq were always strong. We always had hidden bullish divergences in the RSI on the long time frames in the monthly chart. So this is looking super bullish in my opinion for the next 6 to 18 months. And then when the real top will be hit, then we go into the real bear market. And this situation is very similar to what the Nasdaq actually did before the dot-com bubble. It looks so similar, it's just hilarious. So all the time here, the Nasdaq was also printing hidden bullish divergences. Here, then here also another one, a very big one, right? And we had this last brutal drop here, which we saw was almost a 30% drop. And what did the Nasdaq do? It went on the last final bull run before the real bear market started. And all these times here, the Nasdaq was printing insane hidden bullish divergences, exactly as it is doing right now. And if we now just neglect all the indicators, if we just look at the Nasdaq with regards to steepness, right? How steep is the Nasdaq? We see that it was first moderately steep, then it got steeper, and then in the end it went ultra steep, right? We had three different areas of steepness, area 1, 2, and 3. And actually the Nasdaq here all this time had been in steepness level 1, right? All this time the steepness didn't increase. Only now we went into steepness phase 2. Right? So it could be that actually steepness phase 2, as was here the case, will actually even continue for longer than we think, and then only when steepness level 3 comes, which might come a lot later than we think, might actually the real crash start. So this whole thing, this whole Nasdaq situation might actually drag on for far longer than we think possible, until 2026 or something. I know this sounds crazy, but I'm just looking at long-term macro trends and try to think of what the Nasdaq did previously. Of course, we all know that past performance is not an indicator for future performance, so we should be careful with such analyses, with this kind of analysis, but it's still interesting food for thought, because all this time here the Nasdaq was actually not really super steep, and only in 2020 began going into the next phase like it did here. So actually the Nasdaq could in theory still continue in a bull market for quite a few more years. Meanwhile, what is our friend Bitcoin doing? It is doing its usual game where it's wobbling around and pretending, oh, I'm so weak. Oh, look at me. I'm weak. Please don't do anything to me. And then like, bleh. Exactly the same way it did here, right? From May 2021 till July 2021, Bitcoin pretended like, oh, I'm so weak, please don't hurt me, oh, I'm so weak, and then bam, it went into this massive bull run. And the picture of what is happening right now, if we just overlay this, is hilariously similar. Look at this. The picture is hilariously similar. So it could happen in one scenario that Bitcoin is actually wobbling around here and even making a few wicks down. Some might even go a bit lower than 25k, the previous low, and then out of nowhere, bam, Bitcoin goes into a massive rampage. This is a scenario that we should not entirely neglect, because as of now, this does not look too dissimilar. Yes, in the previous videos I said that we could see some form of recovery here until this resistance line, then a drop, and then we go through. But of course, it is entirely possible that Bitcoin just repeats this hilariously weird pattern until we go into the next leg up, which will, in my opinion, turn into a real rally, into a real bull move that will see us to over $150,000 per Bitcoin. Because, as we said, the Nasdaq will probably make new all-time highs. I just don't see the Nasdaq crashing like everyone is seeing it. I'm a contrarian, and I think it's pretty good to always think the opposite of what the market is thinking, because normally the majority of people are always wrong. They are always far too bullish up here and always far too bearish down here. So my picture is that the Nasdaq looks super strong. We could actually, in one scenario, see a continued Nasdaq bull market for quite a few more years than everyone is expecting, because as we saw, it's not so steep yet. And this will of course mean a very, very nice time for Bitcoin in the next years, and Bitcoin might really just continue pumping for a much longer time than we actually think possible. That is my current view, friends. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you found the information useful, if you found this video interesting, please like and maybe even subscribe to this channel, because the channel is still small and I would be happy to welcome you here in this small but growing illustrious round of super smart people, all amazing crypto enthusiasts, and we will journey together on the journey of Bitcoin to over $1 million, which we all know will inevitably be the case one day. Have a nice day, friends, and see you in the next update video tomorrow. Bye!